bless me with the heart of a lion and a warrior soul. So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them. Tell them no retreat, no surrender. I shall fight till the end of days. I was born as a Makai warrior, and the Almighty God my blade. Fire burn all Satan carrier. Father loose all shackles and chain. This morning first thing as I wake up, King David told Sam to the brain. Don't let your courage go down, keep it up. And if your heart rip up and stitch it up, don't let your faith them fall, pick it up. When my cup was empty, God fill it up. Don't take the devil contract, rip it up. And if your bad mind people to go meet it up, pass me the Congo drum and let me beat it up. God on my side, me no give it up. So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them.
Thank you, Father. I want to say thank you, Lord. You're everything, Father. Thank you.
Father, you alone shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turn enemies, and they pray for right to feel. And remember you gave us your only begotten son, but we gave him the wound of life. Send down your warriors with the hello. They carry down to the end of days. No matter how the devil try trick me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this storm is coming. I can see the high tide raise. Without you there is no other. Could it be that we is my soul? No weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them. I am a man, I am a champion, I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 92.9 Sister Round Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York, and our newest edition, 91.9 and 91.5 Real FM. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video, whether it's on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, wherever you may be. A very special good morning to you. Again, it is a beautiful morning in the Spice Isle of Grenada. We're all happy to be here. We're all happy to be alive. There is no better place than home. All right. We have so much to talk about this morning. I'm supposed to be receiving a call from the communications officer at the Ministry of Health, who should be providing us with some information, some further information that is on the reopening of the airport, which is happening today. And of course, there is some information that people have been asking about, people in the diaspora and so on, that they have been asking about, so that when their turn comes, which is expected to be the 1st of August, that they are well prepared to do so. So he's expected to call at some time during the course of the program, so we're able to get that information from him, so that when you get yourself prepared to come to Grenada, that you know exactly what you're supposed to do. All right. I just want to quickly see here. Good morning, Cynthia. Good morning, Louisa. Good morning to you guys for tuning in every day to just join in the conversation. And we encourage you to like the live, share the live video, those of you who are tuning in online, so that we can all be a part of the conversation. You know, I was listening to the Minister of Tourism this morning on GBN, and she was speaking about the tourism product that is in Grenada. And of course, we know that we are reliant a lot on tourism here on our island. And you know, it's funny that as a people, we see tourism, and maybe not everyone, but some of us, we see tourism as a way for government to make money. And we don't look at it as an industry that we must play the most active role in. Because not only is it a way for us to gain revenue, but it's also a way for us to promote our island. It's a way in which a lot of people in Grenada make money directly and indirectly, you know. So we have to place a lot more emphasis on how we deliver our tourism product. I know we say a lot of emphasis is already being placed on tourism, but we have to look at more innovative ways to sell ourselves as a country, you know. And people hear that and they think, Lord, well, we don't sell enough of the country. And that's not in that context. It more means to promote what is Grenada, to promote the product that is Grenada, that we must be unique. We're already unique as a people, right? But what we show the rest of the world must be that uniqueness. You know, that culture, that spice that we have, that spice that we have as a people. We're so full of culture, so full of life, so vibrant and beautiful as a country, you know. So it's how we promote our product, how we promote Grenada. And it's time for us to let our creativity flourish. You know, I saw one of my friends on Facebook. She put up a video. She's a singer, and she put up a video of, I guess, a band. It was a one-man band or a few of them on a sidewalk in the U.S. during the quarantine time. And they were playing music just on that sidewalk. It was like a little community, basically. And to myself, I'm thinking, we don't have much of that. We don't have much pop-up music and these kind of things. We see it a lot on social media, a lot of feel-good music, as they call it, because we have a lot of very talented singers and songwriters here in Grenada. Very talented. I tip my hats off to them most times, because I can't sing on the level that some of them are singing on. And it is amazing to just see their talent flourish, you know. And I think that we need more, I don't want to say more promotion. We need to be more creative. Let's use that word, more creative in how we deliver the products that we have in Grenada. You know, we have a lot of dancers, a lot of big drum players, a lot of these things, but they're always limited to a performance, or limited to a show, or limited to a cultural event. Why can't we diversify it and open it up so the general public could enjoy it as well and be able to support and experience it more, you know? But we have to find a way in which we can diversify the product that we have for tourism. And my coworkers and I were just having this conversation this morning on how we get to do that. How do we promote the products that we have in Grenada to show people that we are a Caribbean island, yes, but we are different in so many ways that when you come to our shores, you don't just go to see the lake and you don't just buy a few spices in town and in the market, and you don't just go to a historical site and then you go back home. How do we show them that Grenada is so worth coming to? How do we show them that we have so much to offer? That if you come here, what you experience here, you're never going to experience it anywhere else in the Caribbean. How do we do that? And we need to start that conversation so that when COVID is I don't even want to say gone. when we've learned to live with COVID, when we've learned to exist in the same atmosphere as COVID, we can continue life, but better. We can show our creativity, because remember, when tourism in the region took a very hard hit from COVID-19, very hard hit. And we have to understand that whenever we start or try to kickstart the tourism again, we have to remember that we are not the only island in the Caribbean that was affected. We're not the only island in the Caribbean that is going to be upping their game as it relates to tourism. All of the islands in the Caribbean are going to be doing just that. So we must now think of the most creative way in which we can contribute towards that sector, to ensure that it thrives, to ensure that it's different, And the minister did speak about the tourism sites. I know there was a lot of talk recently concerning Annandale, and we know that the whole Annandale issue is not that it was sold. I know before you see something locked in Grenada, before you see something privatized in Grenada, we think it's sell. We can commercialize a lot of things. And I strongly believe that a lot of our tourism sites need to be commercialized. And I'll tell you why. When you go to Grenada, apart from walking the trail and looking at the water, the lake, what else is there? What experience, apart from the ambience, what experience do you take away from it? What is that awe factor that when the tourists leave Grenada, they say, listen, you see that place in Grenada? It's an experience. Or you see that St. George's Market? It's an experience. So they recommend it to other people, because remember, the cruise ships base their trips and their cruises on feedback from the tourists. So if a tourist says, well, every time I go to Grenada, all I've seen is the lake. Nothing else, just the lake. Nothing there. I walk a trail. The tour guide tell me a few things, and that is it. Nothing special about that place. There was no wow factor. There was no awe. We have to get that. You walk into when you look at, let's take Carnival for example. When you look at the creativity and the costumes, and you look at Soca Monarch and Groovy Monarch and the creativity that they put into their performances and so on, it leaves you with an awe, with a wow. We want that for Grenada, for the tourism experience in Grenada. That's what we want, So it's time for us to start putting our heads together and stop. I know I say this a lot because we talk about it a lot. And stop saying that, well, government need to do. No, we as a people need to start doing. We need to start finding creative ways to help contribute to society. All right. But I am going to open the lines very early this morning. The number to call is 440-7377. If you're calling locally, if you're in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, it's 347-329-3101. So you can be a part of the conversation. let's talk about this. Let's see where your head is at as it relates to tourism in our country. How do we move from where we are now, or what we've experienced before, to something better, to something greater, to something that benefits all creative and cultural aspects of our society as a people? How do we do that? How do we incorporate our dancers? How do we incorporate our singers? How do we incorporate our storytellers? How do we incorporate our entertainers? We are a very creative people. I must give us that. We are very creative. But how do we use this talent, this creative spirit that we have to help build our country? And that is an important question, and it is a conversation that we need to start having as a people. It's a very important conversation to start having as a people. So the lines are open. You are free to call and contribute to the conversation. We won't be on this topic for much longer, because I want us to start talking about the reopening of the airport, what the protocols are. I want to go through them again. And hopefully we get Kevin to call in soon so that he can give some more information, especially information surrounding where the form can be downloaded. I see a few people have been asking that question. We also need information on where they can download the app. There is an app that needs to be downloaded before coming to Grenada. All of these things need to be clarified. I know the airport is open. Some people probably may know, but for the benefit of the general public, we need to start discussing this topic once again. All right, so the lines are open. Feel free to call and contribute to the conversation. What can we do to improve our tourism product in Grenada? What would you like to see? When you travel to another country, when you go to an overseas country and you're a visitor, you're a tourist, what do you want to see? What would you like to see? You go on a little vacation, what would you like to experience? In most cases, people would say they want to experience the culture. In other cases, they say they want to experience the craft. What would you like to experience when you come to Grenada? What would you like to see done differently? If you had to be a tourist for a day and you had to visit the tourism sites, what would you like to see done differently? When you drive into Grenada, do you just want to look at the lake? Do you just want to look at the ambience? Do you just want to walk the trail? Or do you want to see something new, something different? Something creative, something that you probably would not experience in any other island? What would make Grenada different from all the other islands? What can we do to improve? Yesterday I had nutmeg balls for the first time. Nutmeg balls. For the very first time yesterday, I had nutmeg balls. And pawpaw balls. But pawpaw balls was not the first time, but the nutmeg balls. And it was very, very good. And in my mind, I'm saying, okay, well, why can't I buy a packet of assorted, these assorted confectionaries? Why can't I have, there was 9 in the packet. So why couldn't I have 3 tamarind balls, 3 nutmeg balls, and 3 guava balls? Because we have to be creative. We have to think about these things so that our tourists come to the island and we all of us trying to sell spice. Everybody wants to sell spice. We want to sell spice. We want to sell a T-shirt marked Grenada, or a dress marked Grenada, or a hat marked Grenada, or a bag marked Grenada. When you go to these little shops and so on, that's what you see. Or a cup, or a bowl, or a keychain, or something like that. But where is the Grenadian experience? Because that's what they're coming for, eh? They will buy a little souvenir to go back with, and that is fine. But where is the Grenadian experience? You know? Where is that experience that makes Grenada different from any other Caribbean island? Why, when I walk off the cruise ship, somebody at the one of those little spice shops, why one of them can't offer me a little plate, and in that little plate I have a little blood pudding and maybe some breadfruit balls on the side there, and maybe some breadfruit chips, or some plantain chips, or some cassava chips, or, you know, something like that to make it, I don't know. We need to do something, people. We need to start being creative as a people. We need to start thinking outside the box. You know? And if it have too much people thinking outside that one box, maybe you need to create your own box to think outside of. You know, I see a lot of people selling spices. Okay, I'm selling nutmegs. I'm selling cinnamon. These are my spices. I put them in a little bottle and I sell them. But who is telling the tourists, okay, well, listen, you can make this banana cake, and this banana cake have nutmeg and cinnamon in it, you know. Just taste a little piece, you know, so that they can see, and they can taste what those spices are all about. But if I push in a bottle of nutmeg or spice or cinnamon or whatever in your face, you know, and that's what I'm giving you all of the time. Everywhere you go is a bottle of nutmeg and a bottle of cinnamon and a bottle of those little jellies and jam. And nobody is saying, okay, well, I'm going to put up a little stand where you can test, you know, what I'm selling. Where you can get a little, some cricks. You know, we put some cricks on a table and you open a few little bottles of your product. And you say, here, taste this. Wouldn't that enhance the experience that tourist is having? If one day one of those fast food joints that we like to visit so often decides, okay, well, in order for us to introduce this new product that we have, we're going to give out samples. Wouldn't we all crowd? And then afterwards, if we find it tastes real good, we go in and buy it? That's how it works. So we have to find creative ways to start dishing out what we have, to start promoting it. Because we see a lot of the same things all over the place. Everywhere you go, you see a lot of the same things. But you have to be creative enough, and you have to think outside the box enough to turn that one thing that you've created and that you're seeing all over the place into 40 and 50 different things. You know? And my blood pudding might not taste the same as your blood pudding, but if everybody's selling blood pudding in a packet, nobody is offering a taste tester, then all they're seeing is blood pudding in a packet, and they figure all of them taste the same. You know, so we have to find ways to diversify. And a lot of people say, oh, well, it's not us, you know, it's government, they need to do this. And no, it's your personal business, and you have to take pride in what you do. You know, the hours that you sit down to make that blood pudding or whatever it is, and you put it in that packet, and you feel good because it tastes so good. The tourists wouldn't know how it tastes unless they buy it and taste it. But what about giving them a taste before? What about that? So that they can say, this tastes good, you know, give me 5 packets of that. Or give me 5 packets of this. We have to enhance what we have as a product. We have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Good morning.
I am forced to be part of this conversation this morning.
Forced, you say?
I know they say tourism is everybody's business, but construction is my business, so that's a different thing. Anyhow, I think one of the problems that we have is that we big up, for example, one beach, on the Grandans Beach. When we have a lot of beautiful beaches around the tri-island state of Grenada. And this is one of this is something that affects me. When everything I see is about Grandin's Beach and it's white sand, we have more than Grandin's Beach. Um, Secondly, when you go into restaurants and stuff, you would find like Italian foods and so, but you don't find anything local per se. Okay, and I think that needs to be changed. I know restaurants need to have their food selling stuff.
Right.
For example, spicing when it's all inclusive and stuff, so they cook food and stuff. But I think there can also be a collaboration where you have a particular person or groups of persons maybe cook food, and then the visitors would maybe leave their hotel and you go out on an excursion, and part of the excursion is you pass by this restaurant, you buy your food and local food, and I think that's what we actually need.
Yeah.
The only outing that they really have as of now that is nice is Fish Friday. You understand? But I think we need to do more than that and stop bigging up Grandin's Beach too much. Yes, Grandin Beach is a beautiful beach, but we cannot only keep advertising Grandin's Beach, and we expect when the people come for them to tour the country. They need to see other things too. Let's big up other places. We have more beautiful places in our tri-island state of Grenada.
Yeah.
So that's my contribution today. And I would like to say good morning to my friend Kevin. I'm glad that he is listening to a good program, and the others, keep listening. You're listening to a good program, an informative program. Keep listening, keep your ears open. So have a good day.
You too, and thank you so much for your contribution, caller. Yeah, we have to improve. What we have is already beautiful, and that's fine, right? What we have is fine. It's beautiful. It's great, right? We enjoy it as a people. But we depend on tourism also, and we need people to see more than just, as the caller said, more than just Grandin's Beach, and more than just the market, and more than just Annadale, and more than just Granatang. We need them to see more. Tourism, when they come to Grenada, it must be an experience, They're only coming for a few hours. So that few hours that they're here, when they go back on the boat, they should want to come back the next day. That's how good the experience must be. And the caller is right. We do have a lot of other beaches, a lot of other places that they can go. And I believe that more can be done in terms of the advertisement of these places. However, you also have to take into consideration the cleanliness of those beaches. You have to take into consideration the development of those beaches. You also have to take into consideration, will people want to stay in those places when it comes to selling their craft and selling those? So the conversation must start first, right? The conversation must start on how we can improve. How can each and every single one of us contribute to the development of the tourism sector, right? Not place more emphasis on, that's not what I'm saying, but develop it in such a way that it's so different from anywhere else that you go in the Caribbean, So we have to start having that kind of conversation. And it starts with us. The other day, we had a conversation when... what's his name again? From agriculture. He came and we were having a conversation about a copycat mentality. And some people felt offended that we say that there's a copycat mentality. But there is, in a lot of ways, and I'll explain it. So I'm selling spices in the market. And Jane decides that, well, she see me making good money. I'm making a little bit of money off of selling my spices. So Jane decides that she is going to sell spices too. Jane put a twist on it. Jane put a spin on it. Jane even put it in a different bottle. Jane selling the spice exactly how I selling my spice. And she come and set a booth right next to mine. So now Jane and I are both selling the exact same thing. Now, two things can happen here. Jane and I could have come together and decided that, listen, both of us selling spices. There's money in spices. Let us come together. Whether we form a cooperative with 3 other people, or whether we decide that we're going to do our own small business, and let us merge what we have so we can reap greater profit. Nope. Jane wants to do her own thing and I must do my own thing. So 2 of us in the same exact spot competing with the same exact thing. And we see it everywhere. You pass it in front of Andal and you see movies. Those little discs that they sell the movies on. You see 3 and 4 people. All of them selling movies. And all of them right next to each other. I'm just saying, let's diversify. So even if Jane find, well, spices making money, but she's selling them as raw material. Let me see if I can get a secondary product out of it that is just as good or even better. We have to start thinking like that. We have a mentality where we fighting each other. We fighting. Nobody wants to see nobody prosper. Everybody just fighting down each other before somebody do something good. We find they ain't deserve what they get. So we I go fight them. No, I ain't supporting that person now because, and we don't support local as much as we talk about local product and local agriculture and all of that. We don't support local as much as we need to, So for example, I'll use the entertainment industry for as an example. We have so many talented singers and songwriters and artists in Grenada, right? How many of us, if they were to put on a concert and charge $60 a ticket, how many of us would actually buy a ticket to go? I want us to ask ourselves that question. Now, let's say Rihanna was coming to Grenada, and she was selling $60 a ticket, or $80, or maybe even $100, more than what the local singer songwriter would sell their ticket for. How many of us would go? Stadium would be packed, tickets would be sold out, people won't find place to park, and those who didn't buy tickets, they go in and stand up on top, grave in the cemetery to watch. We need to start supporting more of our local culture. And I'm not talking about when it's time for Soca Monarch and Demarch Grand, these things. I ain't talking about that, because we support that well. And some of our local entertainers are just as good, sometimes even better, than some of these recording artists. And given the opportunities that these other recording artists may have had, they probably would be just as good. Some of our chefs, just as good as the chefs at hotels, or the chefs that sell internationally, and you're paying $1,000 a plate. And when we hear local, we quarreling because $10 for some chicken and fries. We have to start developing a more supportive mindset where we support our local people, our local economy. Let's all build together. Why do we feel that everything has to be a fight and a quarrel and a fight dong and You just find somebody doing well, so you vex with them. And we do that a lot. We have to learn to do better as a people. We have to learn to do better. We talk about supporting local. Let's stop talking about it and let's actually do it. Let's actually get into the business of supporting our fellow brothers and sisters, our fellow Grenadians. We want to just talk about it. We want to actually do it. All right. So we're going to move into discussing the reopening of the borders and the protocols that come with it. From today, the borders will be open. The borders will be open to CARICOM OACS countries for commercial air traffic. And there are protocols that needs to be followed as a result of this. So there's a health declaration form. We posted it on our Facebook page, and we're awaiting information on how or where else you can locate the information. And that health declaration form must be completed and submitted prior to your departure. All right? And it says it must be completed and submitted to the government of Grenada, a declaration form before. All right? Now also, let me just see here. I'm getting a little feedback. From. Okay, so you have to get it and submit it to the government of Grenada before prior to departure, right? Then for contact tracing, you are required to download the government of Grenada's contact tracing app prior to departure as well. The app must be kept on your phone for the duration of your quarantine period. Failure to comply will result in a fine of $1,000. Don't say you didn't know. So you have to download the app, and you're keeping that app on your phone for the duration of your quarantine period. If you fail to do so, then you will be charged a fine of $1,000. All right? And you will be required to wear a geofencing watch. The geofencing watch for 14 days. All right? And if, of course, you are required to present a certified copy of a negative COVID-19 test that was conducted within 10 days of travel. This only applies to passengers coming from medium and high-risk countries. Remember, we said it's now classified in 3 sections. There's low, medium, and there is high risk. All right? And someone was asking, how do we determine who is low risk, or which country is low risk and which country is high risk? In order to be in a low-risk country, which is green, there must be no more than 19 cases per 100,000. 19 new cases per 100,000 people. All right? For the medium risk or yellow, it's 20 new cases per 100,000 people. So we're looking at places like Canada and so on. Canada and the UK, and of course, not the UK only, but Europe. And when we talk about Europe, we're talking about islands or countries that are not Eastern Europe, right? And of course, Portugal is high risk, is considered high risk. All right. And of course, the red cases or the high risk cases, that would be no 60 or more new cases in 14 days per 100,000 people. All right. So we're looking at places like Portugal, Russia, the US, Latin and South American countries, and Eastern European countries as well. They are all considered high risk. So in order for them to come in, and I think the airport is opening for that kind of travel from the 1st, right? So there are different requirements for the different levels. But we're speaking about the low-level requirements or low-risk level requirements. So once you enter the country, you have to present the health form and proof that you've downloaded the app. All right? If you have a negative rapid test, or if you test negative on the rapid test. So everyone that comes in will be issued a rapid test at the Morris Bishop International Airport. Once you test negative on the rapid test, you will be free to enjoy your stay in Grenada. Right? Now, if you test positive on the rapid test, then you must undergo a PCR test and await the results. The PCR test takes 24 to 48 hours, and you will be quarantined in a state-approved facility. Now, if your test is negative on the PCR, then you are free to enjoy your stay in Grenada. But if you test positive on the PCR, you must spend 14 days in a state-approved quarantine facility. So let's say someone from Barbados comes in today to Grenada. They must present at the airport the health form and the proof that they've downloaded the app, right? They will then be issued a rapid test, and if that rapid test is negative, then they are free to, whether it's family they came to visit, vacation they came on, or they came to do business, then they can go free to do so. However, if they test positive on the rapid test, then they must undergo a PCR test, right, and await the results. Now, while waiting for the results, they can't go home, they can't go to the hotel. They must go for 24 to 48 hours in a state-approved facility, right? If they test negative on the PCR after 24 to 48 hours, then they are free to go and enjoy Grenada. However, if they test positive on that PCR, they have to stay 14 days quarantine in a state-approved facility. Now, some people may say 14 days is not enough. Now, 14 days is the expected quarantine period. However, in order for them to leave the quarantine facility after 14 days, they must receive 2 consistent negative PCR tests. All right? So after the 14 days have passed, they will be issued a PCR test. If it's still positive, then of course they must remain until they get a negative test. However, if it is negative, they will do an additional test just to ensure, all right, that that person is cleared before they can leave the quarantine station. So keep that in mind, those of you who are coming to Grenada, those of you who have family members that are expected to come to Grenada from the OACS. I know that we have 2 chartered flights coming in from Trinidad today, because we know we have a lot of family in Trinidad. I'm sure half of Grenada has family, if not everybody in Grenada has family in Trinidad. So we have Grenadians coming home from Trinidad. We have people who have been studying, people who have been stuck in the country because Trinidad has been locked down and all of that. They are coming home today. So there's expected to be 2 flights coming in from Trinidad today. So they would also have to go through this very same procedure when they get here. Someone is asking if the app is for both Apple and Android devices. I don't know as yet, and that's why I'm trying to and that's why we're waiting on a call from Ministry of Health so that they can clarify all of these things, because there are a few questions in people's minds still as it relates to the quarantine. We're going to take a short break, but when we do come back, we will start discussing the medium and high risk, because the first is not far from now. It is just around the corner. So we have to start talking about the high risk areas and so on, and what their protocol entails. So we're going to take a short break, and then we will be back with some more information for you.
The following is a public service announcement on the opening of the plant distribution season. The Ministry of Agriculture and Lands wishes to inform the general public of the change of date for the opening of the 2020 plant distribution season. The season will be declared open on Tuesday, 14th July at the Marable Propagation Station, St. Andrew. Please note that the sale of plants will commence on Thursday, 16th July at the following propagation stations: Marable Propagation Station, St. Andrew, Bulong Propagation Station, St. Andrew, Moran Propagation Station, St. John, and Ashenden Propagation Station, St. David. The Ministry apologizes for any inconvenience caused. Ministry of Agriculture, ensuring food and nutrition security for all.
Grenada.
All right, guys, and we are back. So we are expecting a call just any moment now from Mr. Kevin Frederick from the Ministry of Health, and he will be providing us with further details on the questions that you guys have about the reopening of the airport, where you get the devices and so on. So if you know a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend who wants this information, tag them, share it with them so that they can get this information firsthand, right? So we were speaking about the opening of the airport today for commercial traffic, and that is from the OECS and CARICOM countries. All right, so we have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I am okay for now.
All right, wonderful. Well, Kevin, we have so many questions for you this
I
morning.
hope I will be able to answer all of the questions. I really do hope I can.
I hope so too. Now, let's start with the reopening of the airport. But before we get into the actual commercial flights, yesterday the Minister of Health announced that there were 2 chartered flights scheduled from Trinidad today. Can you confirm that that is still happening?
Well, morning first of all to your listeners and viewers. What I can tell you is that from the looks of it, we expect it to still happen. When I last checked with my colleague, everything was on stream. Of course, things can change during the course, but for now, everything is on schedule.
Okay, wonderful. Now, we have a lot of people who are very anxious, especially our family and friends in the UK and in the US, as it relates to the reopening of our borders on the 1st of August, because we know it's opening to the OECS and CARICOM today, but on the 1st of August, I think people are more concerned about this timeline, because then it now indicates that people from high-risk areas will have an opportunity to come to Grenada. A lot of us are anxious. I myself have my own reservations as it relates to that, but we know that life must continue with COVID. So we have to learn new and creative ways to live with it for now.
I agree.
So tell us more about the procedure. Now, we know that there is a form that needs to be downloaded on before arriving in Grenada.
Yes, and completed likewise.
Oh, and completed. So downloaded and completed.
Yes, and that form should also be returned to us via the email address that is at the top of the form. So there are 2 forms, right? Now, and just for clarity's sake, let me say this. The forms of which I am speaking about are forms for the Ministry of Health.
Right.
It is not forms for immigration. Okay? Yeah. So people will still have to fill out the forms for immigration. The forms that we are speaking about here is what we will refer to as contact tracing forms.
Right.
And it is very important that we gather that information, because for the very reasons which you have just raised, yes? Now, so for example, someone intends to return to Grenada or is visiting, They will then access those forms, complete those forms, and at the back of the forms, it has certain information that we also need to capture likewise. So one form, which is the International Passenger Health Declaration form, right? Yeah. We need you to complete that form, and it's 2-page.
Right.
There is another form called the Incoming Passenger Home Quarantine Applications, and we need you to complete that one. And to the back of it, it gives some instructions for self-quarantine, what you should and should not do, likewise, the helpline number and so forth. So that information is at the back of the application for home quarantine.
Okay.
And as I said earlier, we consider them contact tracing forms. Now, the minister would have said yesterday that we would have trained a number of persons to become contact tracers. That is correct. I can tell you that we have 85 persons, and I am giving you that information officially because I was charged with ensuring that I prepare, the certification and all of that for those persons.
Okay.
So we have 85 persons who were trained, and they are going to be deployed throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, Peter Martinique, yes? So they are going to be assisting the ministry with respect to contact tracing, and that is the importance of ensuring that those forms are filled and are filled accurately.
Right.
Now, and let me just try to just highlight something here, for example, on the home quarantine application form, which we think is very important. So we are going to also be asking for your mobile number and your home number. Likewise, a local contact, right? As well as a phone number for so that is name of local contact and a phone number for the local contact. Likewise, location of the proposed residence to be used.
Right.
Now, and the reason being is because we have to make sure that we do our due diligence in that we check the location. Yes, your house might be closed, but the mere fact that we ask for a local contact is because that person should at least be able to give us some idea as to what's happening. Now, some people, they have house sitters, right?
Right.
So the local contact may well be a house sitter. So we need to evaluate the properties to make sure that it is ideal for its intended purpose. That is to isolate yourself, so that when you come and we do our testing and so forth, and if we think that okay, that person should be isolated, then they go into home quarantine, right? Now, some persons, of course, they may not be able to to pay for the established quarantine sites. Okay, so we do the evaluation that way, and another critical question on the home quarantine form is question number 4. What are the health conditions of the persons residing in the house? Because in some, you may be coming back into a family home. You may have your room. It might be downstairs, and you alone might be able to stay downstairs. But we need to know that who else lives there. You may have your grandmother who might be 85, and she might be residing upstairs, or your uncle who might be 45. He might be residing in the same yard or even upstairs. And the conditions of which we speak is things like asthma, diabetes, hypertension,
Right.
heart disease, renal failure, which is also known as kidney failure, cancer, right? Mental disorder, pregnancy, or any other respiratory or non-respiratory illness. Now, the reason for that question is because we need to determine whether it is also safe for the other persons in the house to have you there. Because let us not forget, Now, yeah, the science, whereas it keeps evolving, what is clear is that persons with these pre-existing conditions, right, they are more susceptible to coming down with COVID than the other persons. And what happens then is that the chances of survival, is lower. Because let's take, for example, if someone with kidney failure who has to get dialysis 3 times per week, right, happens to come down with COVID, you and I know exactly what a grim picture, what that outlook can be. Now, we are not gods, and we're not saying that this is what is going to happen, but just the mere fact that that person is already on dialysis, it means that, the chances of survival is reduced more than someone who do not have any one of those comorbidities.
Right.
Now, and likewise, we know of cases here in Grenada where persons who have renal end-stage disease, they may also have heart disease likewise, and oftentimes they are diabetics, and most likely to are hypertensive. So we are looking at one person, for example, who can have diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and renal failure. Now, and if we put someone, let us say, who tested, the rapid test came back positive, and we are to do PCR on them, but they are going home. So then, we need to make sure that where he or she is going, it is safe,
right,
not just for themselves, but for the loved ones, and also for persons within the immediate surroundings.
Right.
So I flagged that because a number of persons were asking here, why, they have to fill out all of those things. And I thought it was best, that I put it out there right now, that we need that information so that we can make a sound judgment as to whether you should be in home quarantine or at one of the designated sites for the health and safety, not just of yourself, but for the persons in the household and in the immediate community.
Right, and I just want us to stick a pin there since you brought it up, because there are going to be a lot of people who will misinterpret this to mean that we are asking people to quarantine at home, and that is not the case. This is only on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Yeah, and hence the reason why, Ms. Duncan, we asked, and I can tell you that yesterday alone, since the form went up yesterday, we've had a number of submissions.
Right. Quite
a lot of submissions. So much so that we have considered setting up a desk to deal with that alone, because we understand the volume is going to increase in the next couple of days.
Right.
And between yesterday alone, it was coming in like rapid fire.
Right.
20 applications were coming in, 20 submissions. And the reason why we ask you to submit it to us is because we want, for when we do the assessment, and caution persons who I would say lie or misrepresent on the form. Now, we are going to be very serious about that. So, if after we do our due diligence, we found that you would not have told the truth, and then you arrive, we are going to instruct you to go to mandatory quarantine at our mandatory quarantine site.
Right.
And I'm saying that, because, we have had instances, not right now, and Dr. Martin, had raised a couple of that in previous sessions. We have had, and we know that people do give false information on forms.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are advising persons out there. We are doing this for the safety and protection of our citizens and of our country as a whole. And therefore, regardless to whether you are a Grenadian by birth, or however, or if you're just a visitor, yeah. Now, under the international health regulation, which we refer to as IHR, as a sovereign country, yeah, we ought to take steps necessary to protect our people likewise. And this is a pandemic.
Right.
So now, whereas we are opening up, yeah, it does not give you the right to expose citizens, yeah, to any form of public health danger.
Right.
And that is why if you declare anything here and we found out that it is misleading, the ministry will then take the appropriate action, yeah, and decide in the best interest of the Grenadian people, and not only in your best interest. So I want persons to understand that because it's clearly stated that it is it is clarified and understood that or the provision of untrue declaration or undertaking or information to public health authorities, right, is an offense and a serious violation of public health safety laws and all applicable law or laws of Grenada. So, which also includes the quarantine law or act then that governs quarantining of persons, so for that purpose. So, persons who are hearing me out there, please encourage, whoever is hoping to come in to give us the information truthfully and do not misrepresent, do not mislead, do not lie on their form, because we are not taking those things lightly.
All right. Now, tell us where the forums can be accessed.
Right. So, the forums, as we speak, the forums are on Facebook, as you know. Now, persons were asking for the PDF version. The PDF version was sent to the IT guys up at the Prime Minister's Ministry. So they, were working on loading it onto the government. That's the MGov site. I know that our IT team already has it likewise, and they were in the process of uploading it. I know yesterday when they received it, we did have some challenges with respect to our internet. So I would believe that, that was taken care of, and sometime later today it would be loaded on the Ministry of Health. That is www.health.gov.gd. It will be on that site before the end of the day. And I also believe that it will be on the COVID-19 site. However, one of the persons representing the airlines, it was sent to them, so it will also be available on that person's site. I can't tell you offhand the name of the individual. I'm trying to recall it as we speak. But I think Minister also made reference to that booking agency yesterday in his press briefing. So we have sent it out. Now, likewise, so what is going to happen is that it's being sent to the airline representatives. So, for example, like AA, right? And the Virgin and the BAs and so on, they, through our office down here, what we are going to be doing is sending it to the local contacts, and they will then forward it up, because that's what we have done for COVID, in that when we were like about locking down and so on, the protocols were sent to the respective agents on island.
Right.
And the agents on island then forwarded that to the parent companies, who would then load it onto the respective sites. So that same procedure, is being done.
Okay. Now, I want us to speak a little bit about the app. There were
application.
There were a lot of apps. No, the app that they're going to download on their phones and devices.
Okay, great.
Someone was asking earlier today, is that app going to be available for all different types, for example, Apple and Android? And how do they, or where do they go to access that app?
Okay, so the app, as we speak, yeah, it is available for Android. We had a number of challenges, and it's been outstanding, yeah, but it's not our fault because we do not control Apple. So Apple has been delaying that kind of a process for a bit. I do not know why. I can't speak for Apple, but when we first started using the app, it was available for Android. Now, I guess it's because Apple has a number of security protocols and what have you. It's like trying to retrieve your Facebook account when you have been locked out.
Right.
Sometimes they ask you for IDs and that kind of thing.
Right.
So it's a tedious process with Apple, but we are optimistic that will be sorted.
Right.
However, the actual app itself, I know when I had a discussion with Chad earlier this morning, likewise, and Mr. Cheetahman, we were still there, just awaiting from the Play Store as to the finalized stuff. Now, persons can get it from us because we can actually, as a matter of fact, I am going to be posting the downloadable link for the app on our Facebook page once we finish with this interview.
Okay.
So persons can access it, from there. And it's a very simple process. You just basically install like any other application on your your Android or other smart devices for now. And once that is done, once you set it up, you will follow the step-by-step setup guidelines. So, for example, you download, and for installation, then you will agree to the terms and conditions. Then it is going to install. Yeah. Then you will put in your name, your age, which parish you live. Yeah. I think it also asks you for, let me just double check that, for your height. I am not. Let me just pardon me. Let me just because I want to give you accurate information.
Yeah.
Right. So right. So yes, your name, your age, your place of address. So whether you live in St. Patrick, St. Andrew, St. John, that will be there likewise. And we ask you to also check in your location. Now, and you have not yet asked, but let me jump into it because I know it is coming. If you had asked me about that previously, that is, are we able to monitor persons? Now, yes, we are able to monitor persons, and the reason why that is so is simply because, again, it is tied to the home quarantine form. So, and if you are going into mandatory quarantine, of course, you will be asked to ensure that you have that app, right? Now, and that's mandatory for persons, going into quarantine and so forth. Now, I would imagine that if you are COVID-free, no antibodies, you have a negative PCR, whatever, I do not see you going through all of that. Yes? That's my perspective. However, if you are going into quarantine or isolation, then I would say you haven't got a choice. Because the reason being is this, yeah? Now, on the app, you can check in your symptoms. So there's a part that deals with symptoms. If you have fever, runny nose, cough, difficulty breathing, headache, sore throat, if you touch the icon and you confirm by saying yes, now we get that hit on the back end.
Right.
So then we know, okay, because you might come in and you may be well, right? Yeah. Or not displaying any symptoms. And then after a few days, you start coming down with something.
Right.
So you could go onto the app, touch whatever it is, yes, and then we get that. So that red flag then, pops up, and we know, okay, so that's cause for concern. So we know keeping a close eye. It can tell you now, since you go into self-isolation, once you checked in, then we know that once you are checked in, of course, we can also count down those days with you
Right.
in self-isolation. On the app, likewise, you have the helpline. You have the Digicel, the call center, likewise, the flow. And as we indicated earlier, the helplines are zero rated, so you do not pay 1 cent for calling into any one of those numbers.
Right.
Yeah. Now, so we are able to monitor clusters likewise. So that's how our contact tracers too. Yes. They will be given information as to where those, if you want to call it hotspots or pockets are, or clusters are. So they can then, do a much more, if you want to call it, targeted intervention in ensuring that, your persons, follow the guidelines and so on. So some of the benefits of the app, for example, is that, our healthcare workers will then be better able to understand what's going on with you. Of course, I mentioned too, you have the ability to actually call zero-rated calls from any phone.
Right.
And that's one of the benefits. Yeah. We are able to actually monitor. Monitoring helps with also protecting you, your loved ones, and even from persons who may want to straddle, and go in the other communities and so forth. And we do not know what may happen.
Right.
So these are just some of the benefits of having that app for yourself and for us, so that there is a rapid exchange of information between you and the ministry yourself.
Absolutely. Now, can you tell us more about that? The geofencing watch?
The handband?
Yes.
I do not have all of the information on this one at this time. Yeah, I'm still trying to acquaint myself with most of it. So I could perhaps call in tomorrow, Priscilla, and give you some more information on that. But I wouldn't want to sit here and tell your listeners, and viewers something that is totally inaccurate.
Right.
So I would, I am sorry, I cannot provide you with that information right now, but I promise you that tomorrow I can and will call in to update persons on that.
Okay. Now, Kevin, on a scale of 1 to 10, how prepared do you believe we are right now? The airport is open to the Carriacou and OECS travel. But how prepared will we be on the 1st of August to receive traffic from other areas of the world or international community?
Well, my old school of thought is that it is better to under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
So I have absolutely no doubt, yes, that we are capable, because I have seen the way that we have managed. In fact, I've been to a couple of handover ceremonies, and I've heard non-nationals who are saying, look, that thank God they were in Grenada when COVID started. I have heard that from British nationals,
Right.
Americans, Australians, Italians. So, because, they have praised our efforts. Now, on the regional front, likewise, I can tell you this, and I make bold to say, that Grenada, has been singled out by the Pan American Health Organization and the Caribbean Public Health Agency, as one of the countries that did a marvelous job with respect to COVID-19. As a matter of fact, PAO has donated a number of items to Grenada, and they have also indicated that they are open to help it. In fact, they monitor what we are doing. I had reported earlier that our current acting chief medical officer, Dr. Sean Charles, who was then the senior medical officer and epidemiologist, he had traveled to Trinidad to help with the entire protocol, and because of what we have been doing here, even our frontline workers down at Port Louis Marina, the reviews that we have been receiving tells us that we are operating way above what was expected. That's why I'm saying I prefer to under promise and over deliver, because we enjoy that status.
Right.
Now, but I will tell you too, from what I have seen, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, I will say, yes, given that COVID is still a fluid situation, given that things can change, given that, no one has all of the answers on what can happen and there can be hiccups, I will give us at least 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I am leaving the room, for in case something happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, you have
Because
to leave room.
and we know likewise, that our people sometimes, engage in, like law breaking, because someone may feel, okay, because I am a Grenadian and I have a right to be back home, I can do whatever I want, or come in and decide I am not walking through this, or I am not downloading that, and I don't want to do this and that. So, these things can happen, and it can result in, unwarranted, outcomes. So, but genuinely, because I have seen, how we have responded to COVID, mind you, Grenada has over 1, 2, 3, somewhere about 4, 6 PCR machines on island.
Right.
Yeah, there are in the private sector. Yeah, we know SGU, and of course, government has PCR machines. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have PCRs, we have test kits, the IgM rapid test kits, as Minister indicated to yesterday. Yeah. So we have a number of those stuff on them. Yeah. We have trained persons, and our nursing team, that's our community nursing team, led by the chief community health nurse, Miss Carol Charles, and her entire team. They have been doing a fantastic job. So much so that they are also training persons,
Right.
in the private sector. So we know definitely that we have a cadre of trained personnel. I also know that the airport has a cadre of trained personnel. Our hospitals are also prepared now. And preparation, falls into different levels and different categories. Yeah.
Right.
Now, I am a first responder down at the airport. Yeah. Now, based on what I am doing, based on my level of interaction, I do not need to be in a full space suit, the complete PPE suit then. Now, let's take, for example, an immigration officer, yes,
Right.
behind his desk with the sneeze guards and so on all intact and way up. And there's a little hole or so for you to actually talk to him through.
Right.
Yeah? All what he needs is a mask and a glove. That's a PPE, and that's a level of protection that he needs. That is preparation that he needs, because his level of exposure to any potential risk, is diminished by wherever he sits in that little booth that is enclosed.
Right.
Yeah. Now, whereas a nurse who is pulling blood, well, or pulling, some swab, maybe nasal or the saliva, right? Yeah. Now, they will need to be maybe in a more complete suit. So that's a different level of preparation, because the engagement level and the risk exposure, it differs. Now, our ambulance drivers and those who are administering care at the isolation ward, right, at the hospital, so now they too will have to be in complete suits, because they are providing a different level of service. So persons out there, I want you to understand that preparation and protection, they fall into different categories depending on your level of risk.
Right.
So you would not find the security guard, although he plays a very important role at the hospital, he would not be in a PPE, but he may be in a mask and a glove.
Right.
Right? So persons just need to understand that. And at the airport, we have our disinfection tunnel, where persons will walk through and so forth. We have the hand sanitizing stations, there are sneeze guards up, there are plenty information like posters, banners, handouts and so on. Our team is all down there, and they are ready to deal with passengers. Now, let me just share something with you likewise. Now, based on the travel guide that was posted sometime earlier this week, yes, you will recall that there are 3 zones, right?
Right.
The low risk, the medium risk, and of course the high risk.
Right.
Now, they are represented by colors. High is red, medium is yellow, and the low risk is in the green. Now, when you arrive, after you would have done all of your tests and so forth, yes? And then now, you go to immigration. After the immigration officer checks your passport and your other information and what have you, and he or she is satisfied, yeah, now, before you proceed to your baggage claim area, depending on where you came from, the immigration officer will give you what we call a passenger zone indicator card. And of course, they are color coded.
Right.
Now, before you exit the arrival terminal, yes, to go into your respective transportation, the officer, a security officer, yes, or a Ministry of Health official, so one of our team members will be there to guide you, because you have a card that tells us where you came from.
Right.
And then you will be sent into a designated area and form of transportation to be taken to your respective location.
Okay.
So it's not a case whereby I just come and I just walk out. You will be given those cards, yeah, and you will hold that card right up to the point of exit. So after you pick up your baggage and you check with customs and you're given the all clear, the last station you will be meeting before you exit is that station here, whereby that final check will be made here. And our team members know, based on those color codes, where you are going.
Okay.
So, these are just some of the tools, we have, employed to ensure that as best as possible, we control what happens down at the airport. We minimize, any possible risk, because our primary intention here is to save lives, to prevent as much as possible, COVID from returning to Grenada, and ensuring that, our staff, our visitors, our, citizens, Grenadians on a whole,
Right.
And our country remains and enjoys a COVID-free status. And we are not going to be, over optimistic, because, we know that things can happen, but, as I said earlier, we are prepared, to the best of our abilities and to the best of the resources that are at our disposal. I know that a number of investments went into it, and I would like to appeal to persons out there, that it's not business as usual, so you need to cooperate with us. You might be delayed a bit, but it is for your own benefit.
Right.
So, that's basically what it is.
Now, I know that we've been having some difficulty. I don't know if difficulty is the right word to use, in terms of people following the protocols, in terms of people understanding why the protocols are now important, even though we don't have an active case on island. And of course, now with the reopening of the airport, we stand a greater risk of the virus coming in. Now, also, we want to make mention and note that even though there is a positive case, it doesn't mean that we don't have a handle on dealing with the virus. It just means that there's another positive case, and it can be an imported case as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we all have to play our part in ensuring that we sensitize the public, but in a way that we don't scare people into believing that even if we get one case, it means that we're in a really bad place.
Most definitely, because and you are so much on point, because okay, now diabetes can be reversed, right?
Right.
Hypertension can be reversed. So it does not mean that if you come down with diabetes or hypertension, no, if you follow your doctor's advice, if you eat properly, you cut back on your salt and sugars and you exercise and drink more water and take your medication and what have you, and follow strict dieting guidelines, it does not mean that if you go back by the doctor 6 months from now, your condition cannot be reversed. So it's the same thing in dealing with COVID. Not because you have a case, it doesn't mean that you are unable to manage it.
Right.
And likewise, for drivers, most people who drive, I don't know of persons who drive and met in an accident once and never drove again.
Right.
It doesn't mean that because you met in an accident once, you are prone to accidents.
Right.
And like yesterday, when the issue of that same thing came up, someone was asking me, why do we have to, go on lockdown and wear this and wear that if we don't have a case? And I said, okay, why when you're going for your visa and so forth, you have to pay for all of those things first and not even know if you are going to get it? And it was an end of story there because he saw where I was going.
Right.
So, guidelines and rules and so on, they are there not because we want to be draconian, not because, we feel that we have the authority, but persons must also learn to respect authority, yes? And persons must also trust, the advice, because we are telling you what is best, okay? Now, and when that happens, then now, you will come and say, well, okay, why didn't we lock down? So,
Right.
So I have heard some persons, and I've seen some of them posting on Facebook, and I asked them the very same question because I had flagged and screenshot some of their comments. Now, they were saying, we should have locked down earlier. Okay, we locked down, right? They were saying, now they are saying, when are we going to open up?
Yeah.
Okay, we are opening up. But we also tell you, we are going to open, but you need to follow those guidelines. And why do I need to follow those guidelines? So the thing is that people want us, to more react to
How they
their
feel.
fancies. Then
Yeah.
come on, we are here to actually serve a whole country
Right.
of over 100,000, Grenadians.
Right.
It's not just about your own selfish reasons.
Yeah.
Because selfishness, yes, can and will breed chaos if
Yeah.
we do not take this thing seriously.
Correct.
Because somebody might be thinking, well, okay, give me a jump up, and I get a jump up. And then I was reading something this morning. One person went into an elevator. 17 persons came down positive with COVID.
Yeah. Not 17, 70.
Yes, 70.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah. That's
So
true.
persons need to understand, that those things. I mean, it's not going to be there forever. Yes, because we expect and we are confident that vaccines and so on will be manufactured and be available for persons. We expect that to happen. It is going to happen.
Right.
The science is evolving. Things will change, but just for a short period of time, it is not going to kill us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, we have to think of this thing holistically, as the Ministry of Health and the government of Grenada has a responsibility to all of the people of Grenada. We can't expect them to jump to the beat of the drum. So today we want masks, tomorrow we want the airport to close, the next day we want it to open. They can't jump to the beat of the drum. They will do what they believe is best for the people. And of course, we've always said it before, it's not perfect people, so we do expect there to be mistakes and shortcomings, but what is important is that we learn from these mistakes and learn from these shortcomings so they do not repeat themselves in the same way.
Most definitely.
But I do believe I am confident enough that our plan is sound. I mean, no plan is foolproof. Huh? I know I hear people saying we have a foolproof plan, but no plan is foolproof. But I believe our plan is sound enough, and if we get the support and cooperation of the Grenadian people, then we can start seeing ourselves adjusting to COVID-19 better than anywhere else in the world, because we've done better than most places in dealing with this virus.
Well, Ms. Duncan, I have also heard talk, of, some people interested in doing, a paper on Grenada, understudying what we did. Because of our successes thus far. Note well, thus far, because I don't want nobody go there saying I said so, because I know them. But just thus far. We also got call from one of the television producers in the UK, who they're trying to figure out what Grenada did, not just what the Caribbean did, but what we did. Because so for example, zero deaths. How we were able to manage and so forth. And how we train the person, what tools that we use. Now, when the power team came here, and they saw what we had set up on the airport, our protocols and other photographs were taken of it, copies were made, and because they wanted to understand it and share it with the other islands. And
Right.
I mean, we don't boast about those things to them because there's nothing here to boast about. That's our job,
Right.
But for the skeptics out there who always think that, well, nothing good cannot come out of Grenada, they always think that, okay, we are not ready or we did something with that. But let me tell you something, because I see those emails. I have access to a lot of those meetings and I can tell you that we have done, a fantastic job thus far. All hands on deck.
Yep.
Airport, customs, immigration, police. Pharmacists, doctors. Lawyers, everybody. Because and I'm saying lawyers because some of what we did had to be scrutinized by lawyers.
Right. Right.
So everybody, garbage collectors, farmers, fisher folks, boss up, everybody played a role in making sure that this thing was managed properly, and that's why we always say we can't sit down here and name everybody, but we always say thanks to Team Grenada for doing what they did because it was a collective effort.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for taking the time to speak with us. I know you have a very busy day today, of course, with the reopening of the airport, so I'm going to let you go on about your business today. But thank you so much, and feel free to give us a call if you have any more information that you'd like to share with the general public.
No problem. Thanks a lot. And as I said, tomorrow, Bruce Lord, I'm going to join you to inform you better about the geo-tracking wristbands and so forth.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Have a good one. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye. Guys, and there we had it, Mr. Kevin Frederick from the Ministry of Health, giving us a synopsis of what will happen from today as it relates to the reopening of the airport and how it will be handled and how we're going to deal with this situation. I want to appeal to us Grenadians and appeal to our better judgment as it relates to the protocols that we must follow for the reopening of the airport. And of course, for dealing with COVID-19, because we have done such a wonderful job so far. A lot of us have gone through the processes. Some of us may not have liked it, but we had to go through the processes to help battle this deadly virus. But I want to appeal to us and to our better judgment. I know we are coming out of almost 5 months of limited movement. A lot of the things that we are accustomed to at this time of year, we are not able to enjoy it. We are not able to participate in it. So I want to encourage us, with all of that being said, just think about this fact. 2 days of fun and enjoyment, an hour of freedom and joy and party and fete this year might be good. But consider this. You may enjoy 2 days of fit, of jumping up, of gathering, of breaking the protocol. And you may not enjoy 2 more days next time. And that's as simple as it is. So you must sit and you must analyze, is this worth it? And we're saying, oh, well, we have no cases on the island, 0 cases. But there is still access. And wherever there is access, there is a way. There is a possibility. I was coming up on a bus this morning and there was a gentleman sitting at the back of the bus carrying on set of obscene language and so on, talking about the people look like fools in their masks and so on. And in my mind I'm saying, how selfish. That because you don't believe in something, you risk the lives of everyone on that bus. And at the end of the day, when you fall sick, or if you fall sick, if you contract the virus, at that point, it will be too late to say if I don't know. At that point, the state, the people of Grenada, our resources will have to be used as a result of negligence. And some unsuspecting person who spent the last 5 months locked up in their house because they had some underlying condition, or they had family members that they needed to protect. That unsuspecting person contracts the virus as a result of your negligence, because you didn't believe and you didn't care enough to consider that there are others who do believe. We have to think about not just ourselves all of the time, but the greater good, as we call it. About the shared benefit for everyone in this matter. So guys, as our airports open, familiarize yourselves with the protocol. Familiarize yourselves with the processes that are available to keep not just you safe, but your family and Grenadians on a whole. Be mindful, be respectful of other people's opinions and other people's feelings on the topic, and not just how you feel. Because you don't live in an island on your own. It's okay to not believe, Then if you don't believe, then maybe you should just stay home and not traverse on public transportation, or not go into public places where you risk the lives of other people who do believe and who want to keep themselves safe. So please, follow the protocols. What we're going to do is we're going to, during the course of the day, we're going to post the link for the download of the app as soon as the ministry provides it. We will be posting it on our page, so those of you who are coming in, those of you who want to come in, have access to it. And as Kevil said, please, the information that you provide on your declaration form is important. So be truthful about what you are saying. That is all we ask of you guys. We are out of time today. Remember, we said we start at 10 every morning, and in the afternoon we facilitate the playing of the national report at the end of the program. Guys, it's always a pleasure being here with you in whatever you say and whatever you do. Be safe, be secure. I always want to be talking with you. I don't ever want to be talking about you. Please do enjoy the remainder of your day.
You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada via www.hardtalkgrenada.com.
Grenada's health sector is prepared for the reopening of borders on Wednesday. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. Welcome back with the details to the news for Tuesday, July 14th, 2020. I am Rikisha St. Louis. Grenada's health sector is adequately prepared for the reopening of the country's borders from Wednesday, July 15th. From Wednesday, July 15th, the Maurice Bishop International Airport will accept commercial flights from countries across the Caribbean region that are viewed as low risk. During a press conference on Tuesday, Health Minister Honorable Nicholas Steele said ministry, hospital and health professionals are geared up for the reopening. He says Grenada can now conduct over 300 PCR tests daily, and the island is also equipped with more than 3 months' supply of rapid tests. Minister Steele says in
more than
preparation to reopen the borders,
have
the ministry
from
had to increase its ability to test,
and
identify and isolate in any
We'll have details to this story and more
contact
in
tracers,
the National Report.
Training was completed last week, and the contact tracers will be engaged formally this week. That is an additional approximately 70 or 75 contact tracers.
Welcome back with the details to
Testing
the news
facilities.
for Monday, July 13th,
The
2020.
Ministry
I
of
am
Health
Rikisha
has
St. Louis.
on island right now
More than 7,000
over
Grenadians have benefited so
15,000
far from
rapid
the
tests,
government's stimulus
which
package
is
and
at
unemployment
minimum 3
benefit.
months' supply
The economic stimulus
of
support
rapid tests
package covers
should be
payroll
all
support to
for
businesses,
opening borders,
income
because
support to
everyone
self-employed
passing through
individuals,
MBIA
and
would be
unemployment
rapid
benefits.
tested, as
Chanel
well as
Andrews
the
is
ability
responsible
to
for public
continue
relations in
at the levels
COVID
or increased
economic
levels
support
within our own
unit.
communities for
During an interview
rapid
with the
testing.
government information
A PCR
service,
facility
she gave an
is being
idea
commissioned
as to
at
who
the
are
General
some of the
Hospital, while
beneficiaries.
another facility is currently
Thus
in operation
far, we can
at St.
say
George's
we had
University.
over
The
600
PCR
bus
facilities will aid in
operators,
Grenada's ability
benefiting
to
from the
conduct
program.
more tests daily.
We also had
Both
other
facilities
categories such
are being
as
equipped with
tourist
what is
vendors,
referred to as an
registered with the
automated
TCA,
extractor,
Grenada Tourism
which would
Authority,
increase their
accident
capacity to
operators.
test
We
upwards of
also
300
had,
tests per day,
on the
PCR
payroll
tests.
support,
Just to put
more
that
than
into perspective,
3,000
over
employees
the
within
entire
hotel
period of us
and
testing, we've done about
hospitality
900
industry
tests, PCR
benefiting
tests,
from the
in
payroll
total on
support
island.
and other
So we would have the ability to do
tourist
300 per
sectors such as
day
marinas,
on island as we
yachting,
proceed.
Minister Steele
businesses,
says there are
and
delays in the preparation of
restaurants and
the testing
bars,
area
in
at the
addition
Maurice
to
Bishop
small
International
travel
Airport.
agencies.
However,
Various
officials
sectors
are
and
working to have
individuals who
the
have been
area
affected
fully
by
functional
COVID-19
by August
have applied
1st.
for the stimulus
Also,
package.
from August
The
1st,
ministry
the airport
continues
will
to
accept international
applications,
flights
and
from other
data
countries
has been
listed
collected to
as
determine
medium
the way
risk.
forward. such as Canada, the UK, and other countries in the European Union.
Of the Royalton workers.
Continuing with the news, plans are being rolled out as the Grenada Tourism Authority, GTA, prepares players in the industry for the reopening of the country's borders on July 15th. Abigail McIntyre tells us more in this report.
A statement from the Office of the Prime Minister on July 7th announced the airport will accept commercial flights from countries across the Caribbean region viewed as low risk from July 15, 2020. Since this announcement, the Grenada Tourism Authority has been aggressively putting plans in place to ensure its partners and players in the industry are prepared for the influx of visitors amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The GTA has developed a virtual e-reader which includes all protocols for the 6 subsectors of tourism, inclusive of the accommodation, transportation, and food and beverage subsectors. A travel advisory is also being developed where persons can access the information on the GTA's website. Videos are being created by the Minister for Tourism and the Airport Authority that will be played on flights advising travellers as to what can be expected once they land, among other things.
During this
Planning
week until
continues,
Sunday, July 19th.
But it's basically
that announcement was made by
in
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry,
a new way of doing
Marina
business
Jessamy, on
the
Monday
tourism industry.
during a meeting with the
so
first
things
group of
that,
vendors
we
at
would
the
have taken
facility.
for granted.
Jessamy explained that although Grenada has no active COVID-19
the way we used
cases,
to greet each other,
booths and other commercial spaces will be cleaned before the vendors officially return to the facility next week.
So,
she says
that
a series of meetings is scheduled for this week to ensure that the vendors comply with the request of the Ministry to sanitize the facility.
There are different groups of vendors.
That's Communications Officer for the Grenada Tourism Authority, Ria Murray.
We hosted a meeting with the vendors
more
that
than
are
1,500
outside
persons have been trained
in the market
to date.
with their own umbrellas and their own booths.
Restaurants.
Tomorrow on Tuesday, the 14th of July, 10 o'clock, we will have a follow-up meeting with the vendors of Building 1. These are the spice vendors. And on Wednesday, 10 o'clock, we will have the meeting with the vendors at Building 2, where is the commercial part of the market. This is very necessary so that we can have a dialogue on the sanitization project that started in the market, and to make sure that the vendors can comply with all the COVID-19
crucial sector. For the National Report, I am Abigail McIntyre.
Thank you, Abigail. This is the National Report. The news will return
that our
after the
vendors
break.
will comply.
Member of Parliament for the Tongue of St. George, Honourable Peter David, commends the Ministry of Infrastructure for taking steps to ensure the safety of vendors and consumers at the St. George's market. He says government is aware of the issues with the market even prior to COVID-19 and is working to implement measures to address them. Minister David is pleased with the Ministry of Infrastructure for initiating engagements with the vendors.
Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Let's do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. To stay up to date, visit the Government of Grenada's webpage or the Ministry of Health's Facebook page. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health's hotline by calling 53-VIRUS. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back. Thousands of plants are now available at the different propagating stations as the Ministry of Agriculture officially launched its 2020 plant distribution season on Tuesday. Karima Lewis tells us this was possible even amidst the challenges posed by COVID-19 for the past
some of the areas of concern.
Though the COVID-19 pandemic did threaten the progression and the on-time hosting of the annual plant distribution season, agricultural workers rose above the challenges, made sacrifices, and ensured that the Ministry of Agriculture was able to deliver on its promise of plants availability to farmers. A short ceremony declaring the official opening of the plant distribution season was held on Tuesday at the Marable Propagation Station, which set the tone for thousands of plants to be available to farmers for purchase as the Ministry encourages food and nutrition security in this COVID-19 era.
Today
I am
and we will continue until next week, Sunday, that is Sunday the 19th of July.
Other infrastructural works such as the erection of tents and construction of tables will be done during this period.
That was manager of the Maribor Propagating Station, Alison Haynes. She explains the processes that must be followed to get to the point of plant distribution to the public.
Seeds have to be collected and sown to produce seedlings.
I was so scared, I nearly wet myself.
Only those who have lived it can truly understand the devastating fury of a hurricane's wind.
The house across the road, just get up and roll over.
Hurricane force wind. It's a hazard. Hazards.
Inputs such as hormones,
take control. Reduce your loss. You can hurricane-proof your home. For example, make your roof more wind-resistant by using screws instead of nails in its construction. Find out more about hurricane force winds and other hazards at your local disaster office.
A message from the National Disaster Management Agency and Sedera.
It is in this regard she encourages proper care of the plants after purchase from the different stations. Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Yolande Bean Horsford, who delivered the featured address at the ceremony, noted that due to the existence of COVID-19, 2020 plant distribution is of greater significance.
The opening of plant distribution signifies a new season of planting with
it includes construction of culverts, drains, retaining walls, and concrete reinforced sidewalks.
As we enter this new
on Friday,
season,
Works Minister Honorable
the Ministry of
Gregory Bowen
Agriculture
and Parliamentary Representative Pamela Moses toured several of the projects in St. Patrick.
Which will yield great
it includes 6.8 kilometers of road between Duquesne and Sauters,
this year,
and
the Food and Agriculture Organization,
from Pointsville to Montfendu.
is celebrating
Works and
its
Infrastructure Minister
75th
Honorable
year of
Gregory Bowen says
existence.
the overall project
And it
cost more
is
than
celebrating this
$22
great
million
milestone
with
under the
funding
theme,
from the OPEC Fund
Grow,
for International
Nourish,
Development. He says
Sustain
negotiation has
together.
commenced for the second phase of the project.
The ministry joins the FAO in its celebrations, and we are tailoring our plans and programs under the theme of Grow, Nourish, Sustain
So we had to split it in two.
Over 40,000 plants were available for purchase, inclusive of 12,000 cocoa, 8,000 nutmegs, over 7,000 soursop, over 4,000 ornamentals, and over 8,000 minor fruits and spices. Sale of plants will begin on Thursday, July 16. Persons who have filled out application forms will receive their plants within the next 2 weeks. Persons without application forms can purchase their plants on July 21st and 28th and during the entire month of August. For the Ministry of Agriculture, I am Karima Lewis.
Thank you, Karima. Finally, in the news, the government of Grenada is expressing concern about the growing disregard for the COVID-19 regulations and protocols. Several videos of mass gatherings have surfaced in recent days, which have helped to spark concern for the nonchalant attitude that many seem to have adopted. Additionally, more and more people are seen in public without masks, and some are failing to observe the physical distancing protocol. We get more in this Chrisanne Mitchell report.
There has been various amendments to the COVID-19 regulations, including the lifting of the curfew and granting 24-hour access to the beaches. However, gatherings of more than 20 people are prohibited, or in the case of funerals and weddings, the maximum number is 50. The regulations also require every person to wear a mask or suitable covering over the nose and mouth while in public, and to distance themselves at least 6 feet from any other person. Government is therefore calling on nationals to demonstrate greater responsibility for their own health and safety and that of their fellow citizens. Highlighting government's concern, Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell said, and I quote, "If people are genuinely concerned about their well-being, they will follow the protocols. We should not have to be told repeatedly that it is in our best interest to wear a mask, to maintain physical distance, or to refrain from mass gatherings. There is only so much that the government or the police can do. Beyond that, this fight requires an attitudinal change," unquote. Dr. Mitchell also noted that Grenadians should not be lulled into complacency with the lifting of the curfew.
Finally, in the news, on Monday, July 13th, all constituency parliamentary election offices reopened their doors for operations after being closed for a few months due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In this Abigail McIntyre report, we hear of the services being offered and the measures being taken to protect staff and visitors.
All 19 constituency parliamentary election offices will operate between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. as of Monday, July 13th, 2020. Persons will be able to go in to re-register, have IDs replaced, and register as a new voter. Prior to the state of emergency that was imposed on Grenada in March this year, the offices were engaged in the re-registering of voters and the reissuing of voter identification cards. The new cards are ready for distribution and will be done in 2 tranches.
All the persons who applied during the month of February, these persons can come to collect their voters' ID as of today. Persons who applied in the month of March, these persons pretty soon, and I believe maybe as early as next week, we would make the announcement encouraging such persons to come and to collect their voters' ID. That's for persons who applied in March.
That was Voter and Civic Registration Officer with the Parliamentary Elections Office, Ferdinand Phillip. All COVID-19 protocols will be maintained at the various offices. Visitors must wear a mask, sanitization of hands upon entry, observe the social distancing rules while waiting, and only one person will be allowed inside at any given time. The new IDs will be valid for 10 years and will take about 3 weeks to be renewed. Mr. Phillip reminds persons that they ought to visit their appointed constituency parliamentary offices and not the headquarters in Old Trafford, St. George.
I live in St. Andrew. I live in Subi to be exact. I cannot go in any other constituency and get registered. I can only go in St. Andrew Southwest. That's, I believe, on a Gladstone Road there. That's the only place that I cannot go in Grenville, downstairs the agriculture building. I cannot go in Paradise. I cannot go in Marybo. I cannot go in St. Patrick East or West. I cannot, in no other place I can go except in the constituency where I live.
For faster service when registering, walk with your passport. If you do not own a passport, a valid birth certificate can be used as an alternative. For the National Report, I am Abigail McIntyre.
Thank you, Abigail. Recapping the main headline. More than 7,000 Grenadians have benefited from COVID-19 stimulus package and unemployment benefits. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, thank you for joining us. Until next time, I am Rikisha St. Louis. Grenada's health sector is prepared for the reopening of borders on Wednesday. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. Welcome back with the details to the news for Tuesday, July 14th, 2020. I am Rikisha St. Louis. Grenada's health sector is adequately prepared for the reopening of the country's borders from Wednesday, July 15th. From Wednesday, July 15th, the Maurice Bishop International Airport will accept commercial flights from countries across the Caribbean region that are viewed as low risk. During a press conference on Tuesday, Health Minister Honorable Nicholas Steele said ministry, hospital and health professionals are geared up for the reopening. He says Grenada can now conduct over 300 PCR tests daily, and the island is also equipped with more than 3 months' supply of rapid tests. Minister Steele says in preparation to reopen the borders, the ministry had to increase its ability to test, identify and isolate in any possible cases.
Contact tracers training was completed last week, and the contact tracers will be engaged formally this week. That is an additional approximately 70 or 75 contact tracers. Testing facilities. The Ministry of Health has on island right now over 15,000 rapid tests, which is at minimum 3 months supply of rapid tests for opening borders, because everyone passing through MBIA would be rapid tested, as well as the ability to continue at the levels or increase levels within our own communities for rapid testing.
A PCR facility is being commissioned at the General Hospital, while another facility is currently in operation at St. George's University. The PCR facilities will aid in Grenada's ability to conduct more tests daily.
Both facilities are being equipped with a what is referred to as an automated extractor, which would increase their capacity to test upwards of 300 tests per day, PCR tests. Just to put that into perspective, over the entire period of us testing, we've done about 900 tests, PCR tests in total on island. So we would have the ability to do 300 per day on island as we proceed.
Minister Steele says there are delays in the preparation of the testing area at the Maurice Bishop International Airport. However, officials are working to have the area fully functional by August 1st. Also, from August 1st, the airport will accept international flights from other countries listed as medium risk, such as Canada, the UK, and other countries in the European Union. Continuing with the news, plans are being rolled out as the Grenada Tourism Authority, GTA, prepares players in the industry for the reopening of the country's borders on July 15th. Abigail McIntyre tells us more in this report.
A statement from the Office of the Prime Minister on July 7th announced the airport will accept commercial flights from countries across the Caribbean region viewed as low risk from July 15th, 2020. Since this announcement, the Grenada Tourism Authority has been aggressively putting plans in place to ensure its partners and players in the industry are prepared for the influx of visitors amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The GTA has developed a virtual e-reader which includes all protocols for the 6 subsectors of tourism, inclusive of the accommodation, transportation, and food and beverage subsectors. A travel advisory is also being developed where persons can access the information on the GTA's website. Videos are being created by the Minister for Tourism and the Airport Authority that will be played on flights advising travelers as to what can be expected once they land, among other things.
Planning continues, but it's basically we're involved in creating a new way of doing business within the tourism industry. So things that, we would have taken for granted
can no longer do so.
That's true. So from the way we used to greet each other, some our visitors are very enthusiastic, and they would go in for a hug or the shake of a hand. So that means we have to do something different. So we are considering something like the hospitality bow, different things like that.
That's Communications Officer for the Grenada Tourism Authority, Rhea Murray. Ms. Murray says more than 1,500 persons have been trained to date.
From water sports to accommodation, restaurants, and they have also had input into the feedback on the protocols.
Okay.
And so that training is ongoing actually, and we're just trying to give people who did not have the opportunity to be trained, whether physically or virtually. We have 2 training sessions this morning at 9. One is a general session and the other is for the transportation sector, which is a very, very large sector.
Crucial sector.
For the National Report, I am Abigail McIntyre.
Thank you, Abigail. This is the National Report. The news will return after the break.
Protect yourself and our community from COVID-19. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 70% alcohol. Use a tissue when blowing your nose, sneezing, or coughing. Immediately discard the tissue properly and wash or sanitize your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Let's do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. To stay up to date, visit the Government of Grenada's webpage or the Ministry of Health's Facebook page. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health's hotline by calling 53-VIRUS. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back. Thousands of plants are now available at the different propagating stations as the Ministry of Agriculture officially launched its 2020 plant distribution season on Tuesday. Karima Lewis tells us this was possible even amidst the challenges posed by COVID-19 for the past months.
Though the COVID-19 pandemic did threaten the progression and the on-time hosting of the annual plant distribution season, agricultural workers rose above the challenges, made sacrifices, and ensured that the Ministry of Agriculture was able to deliver on its promise of plants availability to farmers. A short ceremony declaring the official opening of the plant distribution season was held on Tuesday at the Maribo Propagation Station, which set the tone for thousands of plants to be available to farmers for purchase as the ministry encourages food and nutrition security in this COVID-19 era.
Today I am pleased to announce that the 4 propagating stations are geared up and ready to distribute plants to the farming community and public.
That was manager of the Maribo Propagating Station, Alison Haynes. She explains the processes that must be followed to get to the point of plant distribution to the public.
Seeds have to be collected and sown to produce seedlings which are used for grafting in the case of avocado, golden apple, and mangoes, just to name a few. Cuttings have to be rooted before they can be sold in the case of breadfruit, wax apple, granadilla. Inputs such as hormones, grafting tools, fertilizers must be procured and made available in a timely manner. Repair and maintenance work on our nurseries and irrigation systems is a yearly occurrence and must be done in a timely manner or the plants will die.
It is in this regard she encourages proper care of the plants after purchase from the different stations. Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Yolande Bean Horsford, who delivered the featured address at the ceremony, noted that due to the existence of COVID-19, 2020 plant distribution is of greater significance.
The opening of plant distribution signifies a new season of planting with faith in the exception of great harvests to come. As we enter this new season, the Ministry of Agriculture is planting new seeds that are developmental in nature, which will yield great harvest of growth for the agriculture sector. This year, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, is celebrating its 75th year of existence. And it is celebrating this great milestone under the theme, Grow, Nourish, Sustain Together. The ministry joins the FAO in its celebrations, and we are tailoring our plans and programs under the theme of Grow, Nourish, Sustain Together.
Over 40,000 plants were available for purchase, inclusive of 12,000 cocoa, 8,000 nutmegs, over 7,000 soursop, over 4,000 ornamentals, and over 8,000 minor fruits and spices. Sale of plants will begin on Thursday, July 16. Persons who have filled out application forms will receive their plans within the next 2 weeks. Persons without application forms can purchase their plans on July 21st and 28th and during the entire month of August. For the Ministry of Agriculture, I am Karima Lewis.
Thank you, Karima. Finally, in the news, the government of Grenada is expressing concern about the growing disregard for the COVID-19 regulations and protocols. Several videos of mass gatherings have surfaced in recent days, which have helped to spark concern for the nonchalant attitude that many seem to have adopted. Additionally, more and more people are seen in public without masks, and some are failing to observe the physical distancing protocol. We get more in this Chrisanne Mitchell report.
There has been various amendments to the COVID-19 regulations, including the lifting of the curfew and granting 24-hour access to the beaches. However, gatherings of more than 20 people are prohibited, or in the case of funerals and weddings, the maximum number is 50. The regulations also require every person to wear a mask or suitable covering over the nose and mouth while in public and to distance themselves at least 6 feet from any other person. Government is therefore calling on nationals to demonstrate greater responsibility for their own health and safety and that of their fellow citizens. Highlighting government's concern, Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell said, and I quote, "If people are genuinely concerned about their well-being, they will follow the protocols. We should not have to be told repeatedly that it is in our best interest to wear a mask, to maintain physical distance, or to refrain from mass gatherings. There is only so much that the government or the police can do. Beyond that, this fight requires an attitudinal change," unquote. Dr. Mitchell also noted that Grenadians should not be lulled into complacency with the lifting of the curfew. Health Minister Honorable Nicholas Steele on Tuesday also made a clarion call for Grenadians to respect and adhere to the protocols in place. He said a disregard for the protocol heightens the risk for everyone.
If we continue with the activities that we witnessed over the weekend, we will be putting ourselves at risk, extreme risk. And should the unwanted or possible person coming in be present at one of those gatherings, we would put ourselves in a lot of trouble. So we need to, we need to maintain the protocols. I know it has been difficult for most, if not all of us. The confinement. We are not a people who traditionally take confinement well. It came at a great cost to us all, and we must remember that cost and not throw caution to the wind and jeopardize it.
Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Francis Martin, reiterated that as government continues to invest heavily in keeping the virus at bay and to ensure the safety of all, so too must Grenadians support the cause and maintain the protocols.
We don't want to get a situation where we are back to getting cases, and worse yet, cases that we are not able to control because of people's behavior. So while we accept the challenge to be greater, we expect persons to be equally responsible and give us the support that you've always done to keep our country safe.
For the National Report, I am Chrisanne Mitchell.
Thank you, Chrisanne. Recapping the headline. Grenada's health sector is prepared for the reopening of borders on Wednesday. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rikisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.